Hey, this is Will from BeerNT.com, and I'm going to give you a quick run through on the Windows page file. And a lot of people seem to think that with all the huge amounts of RAM nowadays, that we don't need a page file. There's no reason for it. The page file actually does more than that. It's not just where your computer gets extra memory when it's out of actual physical RAM. What it's really doing, especially when you have a bunch of RAM and your page files on, if you have an application that you haven't been using a while and it's been idle, let's say you have Firefox minimized, it's after a certain time it's going to take these pages that have been minimized and start moving groups of memory back to the hard drive and clearing it out of RAM so it can preload other applications to make it more responsive for the things you're going to do. When you go back to Firefox, there may be a little bit of a delay as it pulls the data back out of the page file. Actually, disabling the page file only really helps a specific scenario, and that was the Firefox one we gave just a little bit ago. If you disable the page file, it's forced to keep it all on RAM, so when you switch back, there's no lag. However, some applications, especially large ones, rely on vast amounts of memory, like video editing programs. Photoshop, games will pull up a lot of memory, and the problem when you're dealing with memory like this and you don't have a page file, if you run out of memory, your applications are going to crash, and they're going to crash violently. They're not going to crash nice and would you like to save before? No, it's going to be an out of memory error, and the whole thing's going to come down. And in many cases, you could lose a lot of data in this way. When you're running these larger programs like your Photoshops and your games and whatnot, you're actually going to be running up against the physical memory barrier. And to actually give you an idea here, I mean, a lot of these programs are they're still written in 32-bit, and they're going to come up to 4K total. And it can't address more than that at one time. I mean, it can swap pages with PAE, but a lot of the programs aren't even aware of that. On a 64-bit operating system, you're a little more lenient, but a lot of your programs are still going to be written in 32-bit code. So if that particular program has a memory leak and expands that area without more paging room, it's going to hit the physical memory barrier and it's going to crash. If you're having a lot of problems with your hard drive thrashing, you can actually increase the amount that the memory caches into. Like let's say you have 4, 6, 8 gigs of RAM and you're still having hard drive thrashing, you can actually increase the amount of memory cached, or the amount of memory used as cache for the system. It'll show that it's using more memory, but you'll have more of your hard drive readily available in memory instead of pulling it off the drive all the time. So you don't want to disable the page file. If you want to increase its performance, you need to put it on a different drive. Putting it on a different partition doesn't help all that much. I mean, it'll help a little bit, but you really want to put it on a separate drive. And most IT people are going to say that your page file needs to be 1.5 to 2 times your physical RAM. So a 4 gig system should have an 8 gig page file. Problem with the logic there is if you open up a huge amount of applications, it's going to be extremely slow because it's moving a ton of data, and your page file can actually get slow to the point where it grinds your system down. So, I mean, you should probably do more along the lines of what your peak commit actually is. And you see here, the commit gigabytes here. It's basically going to be the peak commit minus the system RAM. The more RAM you have actually makes the size of the page file you need smaller, but it depends on how much you're actually using most of the time. In a system with 4 gigs of RAM and your peak memory usage is 5 gigs, you should probably have at least a gig and a maximum of 2 gigs to give you a decent a buffer zone. In something that's more, if you have 8 gigs of RAM and your max memory usage is more like 3 gigs, you'll probably be fine with 1 gig. Just remember that if your system is reporting crash dumps, that you should have more paging file because that's where it writes it to. So in the end, there's a lot more to do for your PC to speed things up than to go disabling your page file, because it's going to, and in the end, it's probably going to cause more problems than it's worth. This has been Will for Beer on IT. If you have any requests for videos or any comments, or you have questions about your PC, you can come by beeronit.com/forum and post them there. We also have a full line of products to help you learn to repair yours and other people's computers, whether you're doing it for a side project or if you're looking to get into business for yourself. That'd be at beeronit.com/store. Thanks for watching.